Ooh, excuse me everybody. Right, let's have a quick look then, shall we, at some of these charts. I'm assuming this is working. There's always a delay behind all these things. So just let me know in the comments if you can hear me, if you can see me, not that that's the most important thing, but if it's all coming through nicely, and we can start having a look at some of these charts, shall we? So let's have a quick look at Bitcoin first, while I wait for some kind of response from the outside world. Phenomenal bounce at the moment. Looking very good, looking very strong. In fact, let's just see what the rest of the world are doing. Come on, blockchain whispers. This isn't an indicator, really. It just helps me with the psychology of the retail investors at the moment. And we've shot up massively. I looked at this last night. We were almost like 54 or something like that. Binance longs were like 24 or something like that. It was massively imbalanced. Dexter, I'm assuming you can hear me. I'm assuming everyone can hear me. I can only assume that it's working. I've noticed actually that there were 7 people waiting before I started the live stream, and the second I come on, they're all dropping off. They've had enough. They can't take it anymore, which isn't very reassuring. So yeah, as I was saying, the psychology of the retail investors, especially coming into the weekend, is always quite important to me. Now this isn't the best thing in the world, but it's kind of useful. I find it very useful. So to see that this pick up to 70 suggests to me that the weekend is likely to continue to the green, and if that's the case, then I'm happy with that. So let's have a look at the Bitcoin chart itself. Right, so we are in this pitchfork still, and it's not perfect. You can see how yesterday we kind of broke down beneath the Bollinger Band, kind of almost touching the pitchfork. And again, this is a rough guide. The pitchfork is a guide. It's not a guide particularly for, I suppose, support and resistance within the pitchfork, although it has kind of worked out quite well. 2 supports here. Obviously that's where it was based upon, but the next level of resistance here, support here, candle closes above here, and then I suppose yesterday's wick down to the bottom there. So there is, it would appear that there's relevance to it, but I wouldn't trade it on the back of this pitchfork being a level to bounce from, or it's a guide, right? And the guide really is not so much to play within here, even though that could be quite useful. So particularly this area here, I'll be looking at maybe a resistance zone. Not just because the pitchfork comes there, but if we look a bit closer, we've got confluence with the moving averages, we've got the 10 exponential, we've got the 7 simple, all sort of coming into the same zone. And again, these are downwards facing, so these will change to a different price tomorrow, but thereabouts at 34,000, we'll call it 34,900, just short of that. So because there's those 3 things there, and we will look at some other smaller term timeframes to see if there's anything else in that zone. So 34,900 we'll call it. I would expect to see well, not specifically a rejection and a continuation down or anything like that. Like I say, I'm kind of bullish. It's the weekend, it's bullish, and we're bouncing massively at the moment, and the longs are clearly stacking up. They've gone up 25% since the last time I looked at it, the early hours of yesterday morning, this morning. But yeah, so let's have a look on so that's the daily. What do we have on the 4 hourly? Is there anything around that zone? We have kind of do. We've got the green 50 exponential there, around about this kind of zone. So yeah, the pitchfork, is a guide. But for me personally, the way I'm going to rely on this pitchfork is to tell me if we're going to break bullish again and take out all-time highs. And I've had pitchforks for Bitcoin particularly in consolidation phases, and they've worked every time. And so long as we're seeing that there is confluence with the supports and resistances, which there is, they're rough, but there is this always moves. That's so annoying. That is so annoying. But there is kind of confluence to this. It does seem to work. It gives that appearance that it's working. But the important thing is when we break out, then it's time to get excited, go bullish, and take on your long positions, or take on my long positions. I'm not saying you should do anything of the sort, but that's how I've used these pitchforks in the past in consolidations for Bitcoin, and they've worked really well. So yeah, that's how I'll be looking to play that. So that's Bitcoin at the moment. Looks like we're looking to perhaps go bullish for the weekend, like we often do. But this zone here, this area, around about 35,000, we could call it, more or less, would be an area of extreme importance. And we need to break that to continue. Right, so let's have a look then, shall we? Who's here? So who was first? Who was first on the list? Oh, well, first of all, thank you very much for the birthday wishes for my little baby Tiggy. She's a big baby now, she's 1 year old, and hopefully she's matured with that 1 year, because she has been keeping me up every single night for a whole year, and actually getting worse. I've spoken to a sleep specialist now, so we've got a plan, but you know, like any plan, it takes a long time and a lot of patience to work out. So thanks for the birthday wishes. She had a lovely day. There's been a lot of cleaning involved, I can tell you that much. Right, so let's have a look at actual coins then. VET. Let's have a look at VET then, shall we? Don't ask me why I've got NPSX to Ethereum. I wouldn't suggest it, but you know, I've been toying with the idea of it, but I'm not going to talk about it right now. VET. Right, I mean, I think we looked at this on the last live stream, and basically, you know, it's in a bullish situation, definitely. And what I think, I mean, I'm just going to reiterate what I said before, and the way I would have traded this is that we kind of had a buy signal that was imperfect, you know, as far as an Ichimoku cloud cross here, and it failed quite quickly. So, you know, something of there's a video you need to watch about, you know, using this indicator, and the way it works is you get your cross. And if it's beneath the cloud, it's not a perfect cross, but you can go in for it for a buy. But it basically, most of the time, leads into a failed breakout because you get a sell signal, you know, hitting, you know, sooner than it should have done. So that was that one. But then what we got back here is we got a good buy signal here. So this is the. If you're not sure what I'm looking at, I've got so many moving averages on here. I'll take some of these away that we don't need. We don't need that. We don't really need that. We need that. We need that. Okay, so what we're looking at is this little blue one here and this red one here. So you can see the red one there and a blue one there. When you get a cross above a cloud, it's a positive cross. Then what you got to do is at the time of the cross. So let's imagine that this here, all of this Chico span wouldn't be here, right? This is a lagging 26 period behind indicator. So what you do is 26 periods behind the price. Let's go back in time, 26 periods. So what we'd be looking at would be seeing, you see how the Chico span is above the price action there, and we've got a cross and it's above the cloud. It's a pretty decent setup for a buy signal, you know. And again, this is a daily chart, so you might not be getting the perfect entry, but a low leverage long would be okay. Spot holds better, and what you do is you ride this up. And the only reason you would ever get out of this would be when this Chiku span touches the price action, or we get the opposing cross, so the blue crossing the red to the down. This would normally happen first, and this would be your opportunity to take profit on the first occasion. But you know, there is still chance that it will go up, definitely, but that's your first chance to take profit. The second chance you would get would be when this blue crosses this red and creates an opposite cross to the one that we bought in at. So obviously, you know, trading that as a signal would keep you in a really good entry at this point. So you'd be in a good entry back here, and you wouldn't really be stressing out as much as if you're looking to get involved in this entry now. And I think what I might have probably said, so what I made my last video 3 days ago, this last live stream. I'm pretty sure we covered this, and I think what I probably said was, and this I can't say exactly what I said, I can't remember. What I imagine I would have said was, we're in a bullish formation until proven otherwise, but trying to find an entry point would require probably coming down to test some of these moving averages, whether it be the 10 exponential, which would have been here, or the center of the Bollinger Band being here. Now, since we had that big dump across the board, everything kind of dumped, but the trend is still unbroken. We don't have the sell signal from the buy signal. The buy signal is still in play, so the trend is still in play. So I suppose, you know, I have to treat it as such, but because this is a lagging indicator, all right, we can already be at the top. Essentially, the top could already be in, and we won't have confirmation until, well, when would this play out? You know, if this were to come to touch this, it'd have to continue to pump. So we've got 10 more days before a potential sell signal. So it's difficult to say, because, like I say, you've got to be in at the buy to be having a comfortable run. What I would say is that I'm expecting everything to continue up. I'm not overly bearish on anything at the moment, but no pun intended. Bear in mind that, you know, this is a consolidation still. This is the trajectory that Bitcoin could easily play out in easily, although the Chiku span hasn't touched the price action. We don't have an opposing Ichimoku Cloud cross, but we could do here. If you see this here, this blue here, and this red getting dangerously close to each other, suggesting that the trend might be an end temporarily, only temporarily, but it could be. So if I'm thinking that this could be a rejection here for Bitcoin, and Bitcoin could then take another stab down, and if it stabs down too far, back to where we were before, and we start to, and we test this low again at the bottom of this Bollinger Band, 30,700, then we would have another further correction for Bitcoin. And we all saw what happened, with the market yesterday. So everything has to be taken with a quite a large amount of caution at the moment, because even though we are looking bullish, it's not really in the grand scheme of things. We're below the center of the Bollinger Band. That's a bearish indication. You can see how that played out. I was saying on my video a few days ago when I started, I said, look, now the odds are against us bulls because we're below the center of the Bollinger Band, so we have to treat everything we do with caution. And then that obviously played out quite dramatically, more than I would have expected, but it played out. So at the moment we're still in bearish territory, and we could be getting rejected only a few percent away from where we are. So I know I'm talking about Bitcoin again, so we've got another 4% of Bitcoin before it's time to decide. And then obviously we've still got this area here, which is 36,000, the center of the Bollinger Band. We need to reclaim that. And then once that's been reclaimed, then we can start going, perhaps thinking about bullish territory again. So everything you do has to be looked at through the lens of Bitcoin at the moment, because this alt looks great. It looks bullish. It looks like it wants to continue. The trend is continuing. The trend hasn't had a sell signal. It's diverging. Everything's good about it. But in the back of your mind, you have to look at Bitcoin and go, well, actually, Bitcoin's looking quite the opposite of that. Bitcoin looks like it's about to have a negative cross on the Ichi cloud, confirming to us that the bullish trend is ended until we get something similar take place, like a positive cross. Sorry if I'm boring you about this, but it's definitely worth taking on board. So what I would say is that it looks good. The chart looks good. The entry point would be, here, or maybe here, perhaps not here. Although this trend could easily continue. Now, if we go back in time, are we making new highs for that? We are. So, there is a chance that these highs will continue, and I've got no real idea about where these highs will go. We could try and make a pitchfork on a weekly, which would be a ridiculous thing to do. But we'll try it, and it doesn't really work. So what I would say is that it's unfortunate we've missed the boat. I would personally leave it. I'm not a fan of trading a breakout unless I'm in at the moment of the breakout, and here could potentially be towards the top. It could be halfway up. I don't know. I just really don't know. But the chart itself looks bullish and looks like it wants to continue. But as we're going to do a blue sky in the face of Bitcoin, a scary moment in time, I can't really say. So I'm sorry about that. And I think all of the coins that I'm going to look at, you have to bear that in mind. So whatever I've said about Bitcoin, bear that in mind. With every chart that I'm going to look at now, remember what I've said about Bitcoin. All right, Bitcoin is looking a little bit scary. So let's just, if I'm saying I'm bullish on a chart like this, doesn't mean that it can't be nipped in the bud by Bitcoin and just crashed. And if Bitcoin changes its trajectory and goes into a bearish formation, this isn't bearish yet, this is still consolidation. It might not be completely healthy, but it is still okay. It's not the end of the world. The end of the world for Bitcoin would be breaking down into the lower 20s, which it could do. So sorry about that, ruining everything, ruining our hopes and dreams. But it has to be said, I suppose. Right, Dash, when you have a chance. I've got a chance. I do have a chance to look at that for you, definitely. And I think what we're going to also do is have a look at some bots as well. There's a member of the Patreon, I don't know if she's in the channel right now, she was talking, I'm assuming she's watching, I hope she is, because I'm going to do a little bit about bots. I don't know if any of you lot are trading the bots. So this is very eerily similar to Bitcoin, and I wouldn't go in for it, to be honest with you, and I'll tell you why. So this is just like Bitcoin, oversold RSI, we're catching a bounce, MACD negative cross, but it's still in bullish territory. We're beneath all major moving averages, which is not a good sign, and they're steeply moving down. This is a big move all the way up to the top, and then to the price where we are at right now, 32%, 40%. It's a very, very big risk getting back in on this one. Although we could say that we're retesting these highs, and this could be an area to buy in at. There's no confirmation on this one at all for a buy signal. There's just no confirmation. You would be trying to catch a knife, and that's fine. It's just not my style, trying to catch a knife. So I would say leave it alone, and it could bounce and continue, but I'd be surprised if it did. We've got our negative crosses here on the itchy cloud, suggesting that the trend has ended. We've also got the Chiku span touching the price action. So and actually, when you look at the way that this whole itchy cloud was forged, it was forged out of a giant pump out of nowhere. I don't know why that happened. Was there something fundamentally that took place with Dash? If there was, if it was a buy the rumor, sell the news, the rumor has been bought and the news has been sold, and it's made the chart a real mess, and so it's difficult to say what to do with it. But on first looks, I would say I'm not a fan of it. Nothing should pump and dump like that and remain healthy. So I don't really like it. Sorry about that. That tailing indicator on the cloud doesn't look like it has a chance to clear those upcoming candles. That's often the problem. But are you talking about VeChain? Well, it's difficult to really say that, because if we'll have to go back in time, but I know what you're saying. I won't bother looking back at it, but I know what you're saying. But you have to put your trust in these indicators, right? You can't try and predict what the indicator is going to do. You have to follow what the indicator tells you to do, and it's a lagging indicator, and obviously that's a problem. But it's also a very reliable one. So if there is an uptrend, which there clearly is with VeChain, and it continues with an uptrend, that will also continue with the uptrend. That's a representation I'll show you on Dash. That this basically shows you the candle closes. This is all it is. It shows you the candle closes of the price actions 26 periods behind the price action. So that's all it is. So if we're in an uptrend, right, it will also uptrend with it, and it will overtake all those candles. So it obviously it looks like that's going to happen, and that also looks like it's going to happen with Bitcoin, but it hasn't happened yet. So because of that, we don't trade it. But again, this is only your first sell signal. This is the weaker sell signal. This is the stronger one. Which is the actual conversion baseline cross, which normally happens after this. So in Bitcoin's case, it doesn't look like it's going to happen after. Because it's happening first, it would be a much stronger signal. This would be the ultimate get out now signal for an uptrend, and it looks like we might be getting one. But again, we've not had it yet, so we can't trade it. It's about patience and discipline, I suppose. Right, SNX. Ooh, nice bounce, but hefty dump. What was that yesterday? Well, that was probably one of the bigger losers of yesterday, wasn't it? But again, this is why I've made such a big deal about this Ichimoku Cloud training video. You should all go to the Patreon and watch it. Get your head around it. It will change the way. It will help you discipline yourself into respecting a chart and trading, rather than doing guesswork. All right, none of my stuff is on guesswork. I don't do any guessing. I trade based on what I'm seeing visually. It has to be seen, and it has to be confirmed for me to make a decision. So in many ways, I'm just a slave to the charts, just reacting upon what I am seeing, not what I'm expecting. So again, with this one, what we have is we have a very good positive cross here. This is where the cross took place, and we've been positive ever since. So above the cloud, all the way to the very top there. A pretty standard move for an Ichimoku cloud, and now this could easily be the top. We've got wicks, very strong wicks back down. A lot of pressure here. Do we have a price chart? We don't. It doesn't go back. Is this? I don't know if this is an all-time high for it then, but what we seem to have is a flat top here, very flat top with the candles. So it, you know, massive resistance zone around this level, and that's a massive increase in price from that. Yeah, like I said, that's getting close to a 3x from the signal itself. To expect much more from a coin from one single signal is a little greedy, and we are leveling out here. This has been what, over a week now, and then a big dump down. I'm not here to be the bearer of bad news, but you know, this could be the top now. And again, we don't have a signal to say that it is. You know, no signal. It could easily be the, you know, but this is a lagging indicator designed to get you in at an appropriate level and then out at a relatively decent area at the top. Never gets the top for you, and it never gets the bottom for you. It gets a very large chunk of the move though. So has the move finished? I don't know, but the chart is still in play. But just from looking at the struggle that we've had here, it might have just reached its top just from that, from what I can see there. Let's have a look at these. I mean, it's not particularly bearish, but that was a massive big dump yesterday, so I think what we're seeing now is a nice big rebound from there. We're above most of major moving averages, so I would expect to see us try and reclaim and try again to push up from here, push up to here. So in the short term over this weekend, yeah, I can see that. Why wouldn't it? But I can't say if we'll break it or not. Now this is something that's I haven't taught, but I will teach it, and it's not that relevant on cryptocurrencies. A lot of the time, it's especially in bull markets, it doesn't really mean much. But you see, when you have it doesn't measure out, but it doesn't necessarily need to. You can see that this is a high, a lower high, an even lower high, an even lower high, an even lower high, and at the same time that that's happening, you've got highs taking place with price, more or less. So that's called bearish divergence. So this is the RSI, and this represents momentum of price. So if you're seeing the normal, the standard is what you would see would be, you know, it to match the moves on the chart. So it should be going up, and then the next move up, it'll go up, and the next move up, it'll go up, and so on. And then if it takes a leg down, it will go down, and if it goes up, it'll go up, and then up and up. But if you ever see the price moving up as this indicator goes down, it's showing that there's going to be very likely a dump or a correction or a downtrend to take place soon. Doesn't mean it's going to tell you it's going to happen right away, but it's saying that something is not quite right. It's losing momentum of its uptrend, and that's basically been going on this daily now for, let's measure this out. The bearish divergence before the dump took place for 2 weeks. 2 weeks of bearish divergence on the daily. So it gave us, I suppose, it would have given us, you know, another nod to suggest that this has finished. It's lost its momentum for the moment. So this bearish divergence has now played out, and we've come crashing back down. But that doesn't mean that we're going to continue up again. It doesn't mean that. It just means that as an indicator has worked in telling us that actually the tops are probably in, at least for the moment, and expect a big down. Yeah, and obviously vision's always 20/20 in hindsight, so it's easy for me to say that looking at how it's played out, but it's something you should also look yourself, because it is, like I say, with Bitcoin had ignored these indicators for a very long time on the uptrend. Most people and me were looking at this going, where's the top? Where is the top? There's bearish divergence all over the place, but you know, Bitcoin goes, I don't care, and just carried on because money was pouring in. It didn't. The charts were beginning to not need. They weren't making any sense. Money was flowing into it from every angle, institutional, tether, retail, everywhere, and so it didn't really matter. But for these small cap coins, they often do matter, and these play out on all time frames. You know, dailies, weeklies, 15 minutes, half an hour, hourlies, 4 hours, every time frame you can spot the bearish divergence, and so if that's what's happened here. So at the end of the day, I would expect to see a retest of there, but you know, whether it breaks it, I can't say. But the trend, technically, as far as the Ichimoku cloud, is still in play, but it's a lagging indicator, and it does look like there's a top. Probably rambled about that too long for you, but hopefully that was Hopefully that was useful. You could look at FET and Ocean. I'm very happy to do that. These are two of my long-term holds. So we'll look at Ocean first because it's a harder chart to actually work out. I don't really buy this on its chart, I should say. I buy it on its fundamental value. So there's no real buy signal, on here as such. And this was a massive dump yesterday. Huge, massive dump. So, but put it into context. This last week, last week it had rallied basically 100%. That was like 100% rally. So to expect, a move down is that's fair enough. Even if you carry it on to the next week, it's over 100% move. So that was pretty good considering that there wasn't really a buy signal. I mean, we did have this. But it was beneath the cloud, not really to be traded. These are my buy zones that I had because, looking at where it came down in the past, these are the areas that I wanted to buy in, and I bought in at those zones. But not because there was a buy signal, it's just basically me saying, historically this is the zone I would expect to come down at, and I did have this one down here, which is my last buy signal, my buy zone, which didn't fill. But it was there all the same, just in case, and it didn't fill. So looking at this now, what do we see? We're above the center of the Bollinger Band still, which is good. We're in the middle of most of these moving averages, which is okay. Now, this Ichimoku cloud is a buy signal anyway, but it's not strong because it's not above the cloud, and it's still diverging above the cloud. You can trade that if you want to, and you can continue this trend. But in most situations, what will happen is the Chiku span will catch up to the price action faster because the cross took place beneath the cloud, and basically price action isn't going to rally at the same speed as this, and this will eventually touch these and cause a sell-off, or signal a sell-off. So I'm buying this on its fundamental value alone, but as far as the chart's concerned, it's not really had too much of a strong bounce considering how much it fell. It's a decent bounce, but it was a massive. We'll just measure it from the top there. So that's it's a big drop and not a very strong bounce. And even at the moment, we're coming down a little bit here. So it's difficult to say. I like to buy it. I don't think I'd like to buy it at this area, but I'd like to have more of it. But that was a deep drop. When we're looking at the one way to look at the thing that happened yesterday is when we saw all these drops, all these crashes down. Look at some of the coins that didn't crash as much, and think about those ones as strength, and think about these ones as potential weakness. And unfortunately for me, because I do hold quite a fair bit of Ocean, it's not showing strength. But putting things into context, it did just in the last 10 days rally over 100%, so you can't be too greedy with that, especially if you're me and have been buying down at here. You just have to ride it out. Do you know what I mean? It's a hodl coin for me based on its fundamental value, but in the bullish situation, we're above the cloud. We still have this in play. We don't have a sell signal, and we're above the center of the Bollinger Band, which is also good. So there's every chance that it will recover, but it's not showing particular strength. We'll go to a lower term time frame, like a 4-hourly, to see what's going on there. So unfortunately, here we can see that we've been rejected from the center of the Bollinger Band, and we have a negative cross taking place here, and we're now in the cloud. So that is a place not to buy in. You don't buy or sell or do anything in the cloud. You wait for it to resolve itself. If we can reclaim this 4-hourly Bollinger Band, that'd be okay, and we'll move up to our our most recent top. But at the moment we are being rejected from there on the last one and on this one, so I'm not particularly bullish on it, unfortunately. Let's have a look at FET then. FET was a different story. That's a different story altogether, because that was traded on the cross. So this is one of those situations where we got in on this one, or I got in this one on this cross. One of the reasons I like these live streams is people showing me these coins, give me a chance to look at things. But a lot of the time, what's happening is people ask me to look at things which have already made their move, so it's difficult. So this one again has already made its move, but I think it's still playing out. So the cross is still well in play. Chiku span way above price action. Divergence with moving averages. Nice support on the center of the Bollinger Band, showing a lot stronger than others. I like the way it looks on the daily. So let's have a look on the 4-hourly. So this one again this is better than Ocean. As you can see, we've already pushed up and reclaimed the center of the Bollinger Band. We're being supported on the top of it. We're coming down to test it at the moment, pretty much exactly to the T. Let's zoom right in so you can see how it's respected that as a support at the moment. So hopefully that will remain a support on the 4-hourly, and then it'll have continuation to the up. The chart, where's my 200 exponential? Got the wrong ones on. I don't want that one. I want the exponential. There we go. So yeah, these are all diverging still, which is good. You know, we've got a negative slope on here, but we've also, again, another coin that's done over 100% in the last 10 days. So expect to see some consolidation from that. Maybe we can turn that around now. Much of this depends on the health of Bitcoin. But again, strong coin for the moment. I've no reason to doubt it. No reason to doubt this trend. This trend is still playing out until proven otherwise. So I like this one. I can't tell you where to buy in and things like that. If you're on my Telegram, I did make it clear where I had been buying in, which is basically around 55, which is where we got the cross. And then that's followed up with a golden cross. And now you can see these moving averages spreading out like a rainbow. And you know, so long as that's continuing to happen, and then we can reclaim all of these moving averages and remain above the price action, remain above all of them, which we almost are. It's just this 7 simple moving average that's above us. Then the trend, in my opinion, will continue, and we'll be looking at these zones around here, around 11 to 13, as potential resistance at that point there. And then if we can continue from there, you know, this peak will be surpassed, but you know, that's a fair bit away at the moment. We need to make sure that we're making a new high at the moment. So we'll see what happens over the weekend, shall we, on that one. I like it though. I'm still holding that one. Trailing indicator on the cloud. That trailing indicator on the cloud doesn't look like it has a chance to clear those upcoming candles. That's true, but again, it's not it's not been a problem yet, has it? It's not the trailing indicator that's the problem to me. It's the cross that looks like it's about to take place over the next day or two, which would be a big sell signal. It's not just me that uses this. This is a very popular indicator used by big traders. You know, it's very reliable in spotting beginning and ends of trends. So this bit is scary. So as bullish as it might seem today, and I'm sure Twitter and YouTube are quite bullish too, I am very cautious about Bitcoin, and because I'm cautious of Bitcoin, I'm cautious of the entire market, unfortunately. The one thing that I do like is the Bitcoin dominance chart, but as we can see here, this is our support, and we've tested it yesterday and we've tested it today, and it suggests that it wants to go up, which means that if unless there is a change of direction and Bitcoin can rally and reclaim this zone of 36,000, then this cross is almost certainly going to happen, and the trend will continue down and we'll go to the lower 20s. So like I say, everything I say has to be looked at through the lens of a bearish Bitcoin. Yeah, I can't stress that enough. All right, we can talk about how good charts, setups, altcoins look, but things can come crashing down very quickly if Bitcoin comes down very quickly. If this happens, this will be the end of the trend, is what it means. This will be the end of the bullish trend for the moment, and we will follow this pitchfork down and maybe even break below the pitchfork, which will be very bearish, and then you'll see a dump like you've not seen before, unless you've been in the market for a while. You've seen some phenomenal dumps. Where's the best place for Bitcoin to be for alts? Sounds like if it reclaims those moving averages, it will go bullish, and there won't be an alt season. And if it dumps, then everyone's party is ruined. Yeah, basically. But if it goes bullish, and the bullish case for Bitcoin, I don't think is going to take too much away from, like, look at it like this, right? This is the chart that you need to look at to make your decision on whether to be in alts or not. So playing this just as a matter of support and resistance, which is what it is. You know, these other indicators don't really matter as much. It's a matter of support and resistance, and this will tell you where your money should go. Should it go into Bitcoin, or should it go in? Where's it safer? I should say. Where's it safer? Where's it likely to either make the most back or lose the least? So at the moment, this has proven to be a support. We used to be able to play this in this downwards facing channel. This is how we've been able to play it, over the last couple of years. So buying into Bitcoin here and selling it around here. Buying into Bitcoin here and selling it around here, going into altcoins, and buying back into Bitcoin here, selling into altcoins here. And then what happens with most descending channels often break to the up. Ascending channels often break to the down. So I was anticipating that this would always break to the up at some point, which is what it did. And so now what we've had, and what we do have still, is a resistance up here, which means this is where to go into the altcoins. This would have been an opportunity to go back into Bitcoin, but it broke down. So the next opportunity to put your money into Bitcoin is, I suppose, here. Because the only thing that we've got now as far as support and resistance is for me, is this moving average, which is facing up, which means that it's bullish. So if I was to put my money on the table and say, if Bitcoin goes bullish, for the short term until we get to here, if Bitcoin went turbo bullish, alts would be carried, but Satoshis would probably be drained, and we'd have to see how we react to this level. And so it's a matter of support and resistance. So Bitcoin may end up being stronger now and alts being weaker now. Coming up to here, there might be a rejection and alts would rally again. And then this is basically the area that we've got to play in. It's not much, but if we did break down from here, which is the dream, then Bitcoin is not where you would want to be. You want to be in altcoins, because potentially this could come crashing all the way down to the bottom of this channel. It's a difficult one to really say what exactly is going to happen, because when you've got small areas of support and resistance, it doesn't give you a great deal of confidence either way. But if Bitcoin went bullish, alts I think would continue to be bullish, just because the dominance chart is playing in a small area. I think they'd all generally go up roughly around the same speed. But if we broke up above this level again, then Bitcoin would basically be where you'd want to be. And then when you get to this level, you want to go into altcoins. Hopefully that's useful to you. But if we were to break down, though, it works in the same way. So if Bitcoin breaks down, dominance normally goes up, but that's not what's happened recently. Dominance hasn't shot up in a breakdown, which means that alts and Bitcoin are roughly in the same zone. Neither of them are particularly stronger than the other. So it's a difficult one to, like I say, it's a very difficult one at the moment to play. On my Telegram, and I think I must have said it on a few of my videos, this is where we scale into altcoins, and it's worked out quite well so far. Now I'm a little bit, it's more, it's not 50-50. Bitcoin has the upper hand here, but only slightly. I thought Bitcoin would have the upper hand here because Bitcoin's been so strong, but it didn't. It broke down. So if this breaks down, then again, at the moment we are at a crossroads with Bitcoin dominance. Right, link to BTC. Let's have a look at that. Not on here. Oh, come on. Right, okay, so link, this was a great chart, as you can see, an amazing chart, and potentially has every opportunity now to make its move against Bitcoin. But there's no perfect signal that there is. We do have the cross here, but it's underneath the cloud. And we're getting rejected from this zone here, 200 exponential. Let's have a look on the lower term time frames, might be a bit more useful. Right, so a bit conflicting, but basically golden cross here is good, right? So this is, I suppose you class it as a contrived golden cross because the price action already moved, but golden cross all the same should have some continuation from that. We've got a fresh itchy cloud cross over here above the cloud, and actually let's have a look at that a little closer. So this took place here. So there you can see the Chiku span's already clipped the price action. This is only a 4-hourly chart, plus we've had a negative cross plus a positive cross. I would play this one as bullish still, to be honest. I would say it's bullish still. But we're early on in what could potentially be an explosive move. Sorry, I'm just having a look at something. So that was bearish divergence, as you can see there. Higher high to the price action, lower high to a higher high. And what have we got here? A lower high all over again. So actually, 4-hourly, I don't know, it's a bit weird, to be honest with you. I think it's a bit risky at this level. What I'd like to see is a bit more of a clearer signal on a daily, for instance. I'm not saying that Link is bearish, but I think this chart might not be a fake out, but it's not crystal clear to me. There is some warning signs on there, so because of that, I wouldn't go in for it. There's risk involved in it, so. But Link, overall, over time, historically has proven itself to be generally, the better, most bullish chart of all, right? So there's no real reason to doubt that will continue. But this here was a giant, massive, big move, and like a bubble pop is what happened to it, a bubble pop move, and eventually bubbles do pop. So maybe that's what's happened here, and the bubble has popped, and it's not going to be as strong anymore. But we've not got the longer term time frames for me are often the better ones, and at the moment, until we reclaim this, so get your sats up, get your 200 exponential, which is this white, get your 50 exponential, which is this green, and as soon as we reclaim the 200 exponential and turn that to support, I would perhaps go in for a move on that one and say it's ready now. But until we're above that, I would say it's not clear. Getting above there and closing above there, showing that it's a support, would be confirmation enough for me to say that this should have continuation. But for the moment, I'm not so sure. Hopefully that was useful. H-bar. I've got time. I've got time for you guys. You guys pay for my time. I've got time. Baby's not crying. I can handle it. Right. Well, it's bullish, I can tell you that. A better looking chart than the others. It's what is the size of this move? So I suppose it looks bigger than it actually is, because it was so flat for so long. So the golden cross, I dumped down into it, which is good. So we'll measure it from there to where we are now. It's really big actually. Yeah, it's a massive move. It's a massive move. But there's no reason why it shouldn't continue. Let's have a look at some of these other things. Subtle, ever so subtle bearish divergence, as you can see. High there with a slightly lower high, but not really too bad at all. I wouldn't really read anything into that. We are trying to stretch outside of the Bollinger Band again, so it suggests that it's probably getting a bit overextended for the moment. I would wait for a better entry point, but if you're already in this, there's no sell signals on it. There's not really any warning signals on the longer term time frames. Short term time frames. So when did we get our cross? Oh, that's not a good sign there. So as you can see, we haven't had it yet, but it looks like there might be a negative cross on the 4-hourly. Itchy cloud, bearish here, big bearish divergence here. So maybe it has reached the top for the moment. I would probably wait for it to come back down. When something's moved so far, if you're looking for an entry point, it's going to be very, very risky anyway. 4-hourly looks like it wants to come down, with Bitcoin looking kind of scary. Maybe I've only got another 1,500 to move before there's a move down. I think with something like this, I'd probably not bother trying to get in, because if it did come down, it might come down quite dramatically. Let's just have a look at how this behaved when its first pump. So this first pump, then it dumped down into the into the golden cross itself before it continued with its trend. There's a almost 45% move there. So I would leave it alone. There's no particular sell signals on the long-term time frames, but that's a big move. Probably wouldn't want to get involved in it. I'm just basically telling you not to buy anything, am I? But but that's not my job. I would never tell anyone to buy anything. But if any of these were for me to, I'm looking at this through my lens. Would I buy any of these? And at the moment, the risk, in my opinion, outweighs the reward on almost everything apart from FET AI so far that I've looked at. Good advice indeed. What's your opinion on DOT? That kind of held pretty well. It did hold pretty well, yeah. DOT's taken a huge chunk of the market cap recently. I don't know where it is in as far as market cap's concerned. So yeah, this one looks like it wants to go. So again, this one looks pretty good. But look, whoopsie daisy. It's not quite. It's not fair actually. It's not really fair to say that's bearish divergence. The cross has been trying to play out and has been playing out since here. Not got any negative sell signals above all major moving averages. Looking really good there on the daily. So this one probably will continue on this chart alone. On the 4 hourly, let's have a look at that. Again, above all major moving averages, having a little bit of a, looks like a bullish reaccumulation at a top level. So I like that. Crossing up just now, just crossing up as we speak on the 4 hourly there. Yeah, this one's a good one. Personally, I think it's got more to go on it. So if we go back in time, it doesn't really say where it's going, but I would probably say it's still going to continue to go up. Looking at this, I'd probably think in the same way that like chimpanzees, our ancient ancestors used to think when they were learning to count, and they like round numbers because we've got 5 fingers and 10 more. So we count in tens, we like round numbers. So maybe find a rejection around $20 because it's a round number. It's also towards the top of the Bollinger Band. I think we could push up to $20 and break it above $20. I'd be looking for the next round numbers like 22 to then 25. Similar to the way that Bitcoin worked. It kind of had a pullback at every round number because people are just like that. We're very simple creatures, but it's bullish basically. In my opinion, I think it'll continue. This is all depending on Bitcoin. I shouldn't have to keep repeating that, but I just want you to all be aware that it is all dependent on Bitcoin's general health. All right, Bitcoin can go sideways, and that would be the perfect situation. Carver's looking all right on the daily here, so we're above all major moving averages, dumping down into what looks like it could become a golden cross. Now this Ichicloud cross took place beneath the cloud, which isn't the strongest signal into itself, but we are looking good on this one. Big dump down and pretty much engulfed that. We've not done it yet, but it looks like it could become an engulfing candle when you have basically a candle that basically swallows up the previous day's dump, or if the previous day's if this was going down for a few days and then we had one big candle close above all of those reds, that's an engulfing candle, and that's a very bullish sign. So this dumped down into what would likely become a golden cross, and it looks really good. So I like that one on the daily. 4 hourly, reclaiming all major moving averages above the center of the Bollinger Band, which is good. Turning up on the MACD. This one looks good as well. I wouldn't say no to a little bit of that, perhaps. I wouldn't say no to that. So that's all right. I think that one is okay. Moon Boys on YouTube. Oh, I can imagine. ADA to BNB can be successful bot setup. Proper sideways movement. Let's have a look. Sideways is good, especially with high volume as well. And I imagine that there's quite a lot of volume in this pair. Let's just have a look at the volume. Plenty. There's plenty of volume. Right, so it's more than sideways, it's definitely going up. ADA appears to be very bullish in general, so a bot setup would be okay, don't see a problem with that. So what we've got here on this pair alone, we have golden cross here, we have more or less a decent cross here, itchy cloud cross, and at the moment we are looking like we're going to find ourselves having a new top put in here, perhaps maybe an engulfing candle. So I would say that this one's looking good just on that alone. Both ADA and BNB would likely to go up anyway, so and remember, you'll be accumulating BNB in this pair as bot profit. I like the chart, I think it's bullish, I think it's good to go. So it'll be more than sideways, this will be sideways and up with potentially an explosive move up. So I don't know about your grid structures. Shall we have a little look at that? I'll set up, I'll go on my demo account. I'll have a look at what I would do if I was to set this bot up. So first of all, I would have it set on the classic bot because I would be expecting a breakout, and it would be better to prep this chart in the form of a breakout. So the classic bot would be better than the S bot. I wouldn't want 179 grids, I can tell you that much, but it's relatively volatile and it could come down, so maybe 40 grids. And we don't need to have grids all the way up, even though I expect there to be moves. Where would we want to catch this if it fell? That's the problem. So the breakout took place here, price action potentially could come down here, so I would be comfortable enough to put my grid down here and probably have this here and set my trailing up on, and actually, what is this range? That's a massive range. So these grids are 3% apart from each other, so you're not going to be making an enormous amount of trades, but the trades themselves would be relatively loaded with profit on each one. So hopefully that's in some way useful to you. Now, just for those who do the bots, I imagine probably half of you are doing it. There's a bit of a bot frenzy going on my channel. So just to explain, the pros and cons of having a bot set up on this pair with this kind of range. So the bot will be started here, which would mean that all this area here is buys. So that would be buying ADA. So all of this here is going to be BNB. All of this bit here, this little bit here, is going to be ADA, right, that you've bought. And so what this would mean is, if the chart were to go up, you would make less on the bot than you would if you would have bought ADA, because you're holding BNB. You're hodling this area. If this area is not going to get touched, you're basically holding BNB, and your profits are subject to the price fluctuation of BNB. So in that respect, a breakout with ADA would be much better as a spot. This is often a misconception with bots, right? Bots can make you more money over time than spot trading, because you can afford to be sloppy and lazy, which is one of the reasons I like it. Because you hear me complain about family and babies and stuff, but I complain obviously because it keeps me up, but it takes away time, and that's fair. They're my family, that's what they're designed to do. That's what I want to spend time with my family. So that's why I got into bot trading in the first place, because I look at some of these things and go, there's a setup there, but am I going to be feeding someone? Am I going to be changing a nappy? Am I going to just be playing and having a nice time with my family? Probably will be. All right, there's only a small amount of my time that's dedicated to hardcore trading now, and that's not because the price action is happening at the time. That's just my allocated time that I have. So I thought bot trading would be a great thing for me to do, because I'm not able to trade at the same level that I used to be able to trade, because my time is consumed by family. which is fine. That's life. So a spot trade on a breakout is always going to be more profitable if you can get in at the bottom and out at the top. But if you're unable to do that, bot trades are a great way to, I suppose, make the most out of any kind of move without being able to get in at the bottom and out at the top. It's like a hedge. It's a hedge against, making wrong trades or whatever. So yeah, just to put that out there, spot trading is more profitable than bot trading if you're able to do it. If you're unable to do it, or if you're not very good at it, for instance, bot trading will suit you perfectly, and it suits me really well. It doesn't. I still do plenty of spot trading. Don't get me wrong, because I know whether something's going to go and where it's likely to move, and I can plan ahead and do it like that. But also, I wanted something else on top, which did something else, and this is certainly working out for me. So you could have this bot set up, right? And if this bot breaks up, you will be making money. There'll be plenty of volatility in this, as you can see. It's been pretty volatile already, all the way up there. 151% move, and then whoopsie daisy all the way back down, 64% move. Right, this bot would have been able to buy all the way up there, sell all the way back up there, buy all the and sell all the way up there, buy all the way back down, and do it all over again, while I was changing nappies, feeding babies, and watching Peppa Pig. So it works out really well. In that respect, but if you were to do a spot trade and do this yourself, buy one spot trade here, sell one spot trade there, you'd have made way more money than a bot. And then if you were able to do it again and again, you'd make more money than a bot. But if you're unable to do that, bots are the best. Anyway, I've rambled about that, but it's just something that I hear. People send me DMs and stuff complaining to me as if it's something that I've forced upon them. I really don't want anyone to feel like that. I don't. The things I bring to my channel are basically the things that I do, and that's the reason I do them. It's not because this is better than this, or they're just different tools you have in your tool belt. You know what I mean? Like if your time is restricted like mine, bots work perfectly. I still do spot trades, and spot trades are things that I talk about mostly on my channel when I'm talking about supports, resistances, things like that. That's for spot and margin trading, really. They're the most profitable. Bots are a nice, I suppose, middle of the road, slow accumulation. It's not a hodl. It's the next step up from a hodl. So you're not just sitting around watching the price fluctuate, hodling until the bitter end. You're hodling while your hodl coins basically accumulate profit for you. So yeah, like I said, people do complain to me in Telegram saying, I could have made more. Well, I know you could. We all could. But that's not what bots are for. It's not. If you're the perfect trader, you can make more. If you're able to get in at the bottom and out at the top, you will make more. But anyway, I've rambled again. Sorry, I lose my train of thought. But yeah, I mean, just to carry on with your original question, it looks like a sideways and up trend, so that would benefit you if you were to set the bot up. And if I were to set the bot up, I would definitely have plenty of areas to catch it at, because it's proven to be volatile. Plus, we may be looking at a dump across the board. Maybe there's a relatively strong chance that we will see a further correction with Bitcoin, and that will correct the market. So to hedge against the potential of that, I would have a deeper grid ready to buy back all of this and make the most out of that dump. And I see somebody's tuned out, and I don't blame them. Have we looked at Ethereum on its own? No, but we will. So I made a video on this morning, and my thoughts are pretty much standard, as you'd imagine what you'd expect me to say. If you basically watch what I do, it's pretty much all basically based around the same thing. So as you can see, we're playing out the Itchy Cloud Cross from all the way back here. We're still playing that out. Have we got a sell signal? No. What are we doing though? We had a big dump and we came below the centre of the Bollinger Band. We've reclaimed it now. We haven't closed it there yet. So if we were to close above the centre of the Bollinger Band, we're back in bullish territory, and we could have a continuation of this trend. And a continuation of this trend needs to bring us back up to the most recent all-time high, 14,000 and whatever. And it needs to continue from there. So the Ichimoku cloud wants us to continue. The Bollinger Band is hopefully going to be reclaimed alongside all those other moving averages. What do we see on the RSI? Right back into a nice, decent area, to be honest with you. Plenty of room to move if it wanted to. We do have a negative cross on the MACD, which isn't great, and the histogram actually is diverging, showing that there could be further move to the down. Hopefully this trend hasn't finished yet, and it will continue. I think as we move into the weekend, if Ethereum can take the lead, it will do another pump. But we've got to first of all confirm this area. This pink here, the center of the Bollinger Band, is reclaimed, and above all the other moving averages. And then what I'd like to see is a test down to show that it's a support. And then we need to reclaim this, because this candle is horrendous. For something that's been so bullish and everybody's talking about a 21, almost 22% move in a single day, is not a good thing. It's not a good look. It's not a good look at all. And the last time we saw a big dump in that way, we saw the buyback was significant, and we also stayed amongst the top of the Bollinger Band. This time we broke down beneath it, so it could be suggesting a change of trend, but the trend has not been confirmed to be ending at all in any way. This is just one of the first little cracks that could end up being a reversal in the trend. But at the moment, we're fighting back. The bulls are fighting back. We've reclaimed that for the moment. We've still got a few hours to go before this candle closes, and if it closes here, we're back in the bulls have the upper hand ever so slightly. 65% chance it will continue at least to where we were rejected from, 1378. I'm really hoping that it does do it, because this, if Bitcoin goes sideways or it looks weak, provided that Ethereum looks strong, dominance will decrease again, and this means that even if Bitcoin dumps, provided we're beneath here, it means that we can continue holding our altcoins, especially for me that's bot trading, because I'm going to be holding them all the same. You might think that that's crazy and mad, but I'll hold my my bot trading. I'll hold all of that. I'm not going to close that down if I'm expecting a dump, even though that might be the right thing to do. But because I'm kind of lazy, I will leave them, because so long as they're in the grids, they're still accumulating bot profit for me. And actually, sometimes what you'll see is, in times of extreme dumpage, you get extreme volatility, and bots will like that. So I'm hoping that we do reclaim all of this, because we all need to have a strong Ethereum in our life, even if we're not trading it, because that strength will filter into the altcoin market in general. People think that Ethereum is just the number 2, but it's more than that. I think Ethereum has potential to become the number 1 cryptocurrency, and what that'll do for Bitcoin. I mean, I'm a believer in Bitcoin to a point. I'm not one of these people that's thinks it's going to take over the world. I think it's kind of silly when I hear people talk about it like that. I look at all of this, everything, all this cryptocurrency, I look at all of it as basically a means to make money, right? And all the blockchain technology and things like this, and as good as they sound, and the best way for me to explain it is back in the olden days, we used to have videotapes, right? If you're old enough to remember them, right? Videotapes were the be-all and end-all. They were the best thing. You could tape the stuff off the telly. You could go to the video shop. You didn't have to go to the cinema. Do you know what I mean? It was a revolution in film and home cinema. Do you know what I mean? And it was brilliant. Do you know what I mean? It was amazing. And you couldn't imagine it ever going away. Then you got the DVD came out, right? And the DVD was basically the same vibe, but better. But now we don't have any of those. And I think when we're looking at something like Bitcoin and most blockchain technologies, they're still in the VHS phase. And it's difficult for us to picture what will surpass it. But I think we're so early on that we can. A lot of people get blinded by the fact that they think that this is the next big thing. I think it's the precursor, the foundation to the next big thing. The next big thing will be actually very different to this, but it will be based upon this. So I think we're all quite lucky to be able to benefit from this moment in time. I think this is quite a rare moment in time where we're able to do what we're doing. It's like the Wild West. and I don't think it will last very long. And you can see that in a way with the increased push to regulate all this stuff, and I don't blame them for wanting to do that either. Even if you've just been in the market a couple of months, you can see how crazy it is, and you can see how potentially dangerous it is, and how speculative it is as well. Doesn't what really gives these things value? Why should a utility token have any value to it? Do you know what I mean? It's all a bit crazy and silly and mad, but let's make the most of it while we have it. ADA, well, I kind of looked at ADA generally just on the BNB chart, and it was bullish, so I'm assuming it'll be bullish. So let's have a quick look at it. Daily, it's very much like Ethereum. It's leading the way. It's leading the pack. We've reclaimed the center of the Bollinger Band. That's good. IgCloud is still bullish. Trend is still bullish. MACD cross at a high level. Wouldn't worry too much about that. Bearish divergence on the daily though. So maybe that is a crack that we could be looking at a potential end of the trend. So this is one thing to be relatively afraid of, but you could argue that that's already played out in this dump here, but it's also something to bear in mind. There is bearish divergence on the RSI, but for the moment I think we could continue to make another high on this one before it all comes down again. But that's only one indicator there. It's only a single indicator. The other indicators all suggest that it could continue quite easily to make more highs. So I think this weekend should be okay. The thing I have to keep stressing is that these levels here, around 36,000 for Bitcoin, is where we should start to think about maybe taking profit or limiting our exposure, just in case. And if Bitcoin can reclaim these on daily candles, closing daily candles above 36,000, then everything should be okay. But ADA looks okay to me, like I say, even though there is a big crack in the impenetrable fortress of bullish trend, which is just this bearish divergence on the RSI, and again that could have already played out in that dump. Is there any bot parents you have my eye on? Well, there is actually. So I've said it a few times on my Telegram. I don't go in for all these like paid videos and stuff like that. I get offers quite regularly now actually from people trying to get me to push stuff onto people. They offer me serious money sometimes. They offer me $1,000 to make. I'll give you $1,000. Will you try and sell this indicator, or will you try and sell this pre-sale to a token? I'm like, no, $1,000 is nice, but I'm trying to build something here. I need to keep my integrity. These people, although I'm telling them not to follow what I'm doing, I do hopefully have a level of trust amongst you all, and so I basically turned down everything that's offered to me to try and sell stuff to people, because I don't think it's going to help you. I think it'll be damaging to you, because I don't want you to think that it's something that I believe in when I don't. Alright, but this one time I have accepted a sponsor, right, from they're an exchange, but they have integrated bot trading into their exchange to a large degree, but it's nowhere near as good as Bitsgap. Bitsgap, I've chosen to use that because it's good, right? It's good. It's an extremely good interface, and you can link it to all the exchanges. So I use Bitsgap anyway, and I think that's why they contacted me, because they see that I'm using bots, and that you lot would probably, I suppose, be a target audience for this company. So I said I'd do it. And but I will make it very clear to everybody that it's a sponsored video, right? It's not something that I'm going to continue to use. I very much doubt I'll continue to use it, but it's not bad. And the only reason I'm mentioning that is not just to warn you that I'm doing a sponsored video, and to take what I say as a sponsored video, but I was testing out some other pairs on there, and one pair that I've chosen to do is it's a Bitcoin pair, which is with Seller. So Seller network to Bitcoin. So I'll have a look at that. I'll show you why. am I doing? Seller to Bitcoin. So this one to me looks like it's pretty much bottomed out, and it started to poke its head up to touch these clouds. Now there's nothing particularly bullish about this in the long run, but it does look like it could make a big move. And the reason I've gone in for it as a bot pair is because it's extremely low sats, and so you can do this on a bot with very low grids. Like you could have maybe even 5 grids, 7 grids maybe, which means that you can load those grids quite heavily, and you don't have to have loads of grids to try and catch these bottoms. This looks like it's bottomed at this level, 14. Now we've already had a decent rally clearly from 14 to 22, which is basically where we're at right now. So that was a massive move in itself. It was a 68% move. But I think this has got more to go. As we look like we're trying to reclaim this green exponential moving average, there's a chance that we will go all the way up here with volatile ranges in between, which means that I could probably stack quite a bit of Bitcoin from setting that bot up. So we're looking at another 66% move to the up. Now also the reason I've chosen to go with that is because Bitcoin dominance is at this zone where it can fluctuate between alt being strong and Bitcoin being strong. So it's a hedge against what's going to happen between the two. I don't know if alts are going to take the upper hand or Bitcoin's going to take the upper hand. Whichever one does take the upper hand, I will have the hedge. I will have half and half, won't I? I will have half altcoin, half Bitcoin, and as a pair, at least one of them will be stronger than the other. Rather than, at the moment I'm all in altcoins. I'm doing Binance coin pairings with other altcoins. So if Bitcoin takes the lead and Bitcoin dominance drops, then that stack will drop. So it's also a hedge. So the fact that it's got low sats means that bigger moves at lower ticks, and also it's a hedge against the two. So this is one that I've set up on that network, on that other exchange that I'm using, not on Bitsgap, on the other exchange, because I think that there is going to be a move potentially up here, which would be about a 65% move or so. And within there'll be ups and downs, and because they're very low sats, they'll be stacking some significant amount of Bitcoin for me. So that's the only one that I've really looked at, aside from the ones that I'm already using. And I've not made it public, but I might as well tell you about it. I've set that one up. I set that one up last night in the dump, so it's running now. Not with much, just like $1,000, not with much, and we'll see where it goes over the next couple of weeks. And you'll see the outcome of it, because there will be a video on it, because again it's a sponsored video. I'm being paid to make it, but there will be results. You will see what I've done. It's all transparent. I'm not making anything up. Everything you see is you will see the journey of what I've done with this exchange. But again, take what I say not with a pinch of salt, but with I'm letting you know I've been paid to make the video. Okay, so I'm not saying it's the greatest thing in the world. It's a sponsored video. So that's that one. Also, it's better to keep your bots going in a separate account. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's something I've said on the videos that when I've started this whole bot stuff up. And anyway, it's easier because you don't end up using anything that you've set aside as a hodl account, right? So it's all in one, right? So everything that you're doing on those bots, you can compound what you've made into another bot and things like that, and it's just easier to keep it simple. I've got three accounts. I've got two mainly that I use. I have my original one, but then I've got a code which gives you 20% off. So I basically set up 2 more accounts for myself, so I get 20% off all my fees. So I have one for spot and one for bot trading, and I would suggest you do the same. So there's a link in the description below if you haven't already done that, for a Binance account, which will give you 20% back of all your fees. So yeah, if you haven't done that already, do that and use that link. And what you'll see is, after it's about 24 or 48 hour delay, but once you've started trading on there, if you go to your referral section of your account, you will see all those fees coming back to you, so you get basically 20% back. So it doesn't reduce your fees, it basically reimburses you 20% of your fees back to you, and you see them all coming back. So Obviously variable, but would you consider a decent daily average bot profit? Anything above 2% really, I think is good. Like I'm always in this for slow and steady, and that's the best way for me. I'm always up for slow and steady. I'm not one of the people that chases fast, quick profit. I like to weigh up risk, and I trade based upon risk really. So everything I do is based upon risk. No one wants to lose money. So rather than trying to chase a quick fix, which is, I find this is all the time a lot of people's problem. They're always trying to chase like the fastest amount of returns. That's not how I go about it. Slow, consistent, patient, and limit the risk as much as possible. So anything above 2% is good for me. 2%, that's fine. That's great. That's 14% a week. How much would that be a year? I couldn't tell you, but it'd be thousands. So I'm happy with that. Well, it's not thousands, is it? It's about 700%. But yeah, obviously the bots that I run do often have periods where they make more than 2% in a day. But if you're getting 2% in a day bot profit, I would be happy with that. There will be days where you'll make 5 or maybe even 10 in a day if there's a breakout. But yeah, 2% a day, I'm happy with that. XRP, okay. Oh, I can hear my baby crying actually. Don't worry, I've got the night off. Right, so I just to let you all know, I did actually buy some XRP in this dump yesterday. Alright, and it's not because I'm expecting anything from it now. It's because I'm expecting something from it in the long term, despite what's going on. So there's no setup here to say that this is any area to buy. It's just that I noticed it came down to hit my one of my buy-in targets. So I bought in. That's why I have these zones. I think XRP is one of them weird. It's a weird limbo situation. Everybody hates it. Do you know what I mean? Everybody generally hates it and thinks it's dead and things like that. But if you've seen my XRP market cycle video, and I made that before these big pumps took place, I anticipated that this would end up happening to XRP, and I still believe that the market cycle isn't broken. Now this chart isn't very long, it's not very old, so I can't really go into great depths, but basically this chart, the XRP chart goes back to 2013, so it's a very old chart, and it's had a full market cycle already, and in that market cycle it basically had a chart that looks exactly the same as this and exactly the same as this, which is why I expected to see this. I also expected to see a massive dump back down, about 70% dump from a big pump, and then reaccumulate for a very long period of time. So I'm happy to essentially treat this as that, and put my faith in the long-term analysis that I did, and buy into XRP at around about these levels. And again, I should have to stress that these levels, all of this is an accumulation zone, which is a very large one, almost 100%, and we are coming into what could become a death cross, which would mean that we're likely to break down again into this lower zone here, spend a lot of consolidation and accumulation in these levels, and then there's no guarantee that it will recover, because nobody knows what's going to actually happen to it legally. But I am treating it like the market cycle, which is that I have to expect that it will recover according to the way it's behaved in the past, and that behaviour, although this has happened a little sooner than it should have done, I expected this move to happen more or less around now, the earliest around January, but it happened earlier. A lot earlier. I still expected this sort of move to happen, and a big dump down. Maybe not quite as aggressive as this, but essentially a dump back down over time, similar to this. But this happened a lot faster. So I've bought some more. I can't say to you right now that there's going to be any move take place with XRP. I would expect that it will probably continue to go down and consolidate from this move that we had. So forget about this now. This was the move that we're consolidating from now. This one, this bouncy move, which is a decent move in itself. That was a 115% move. So now we're consolidating from that top, and we're down here 25%. We could probably come down a bit more than that. 100% up. I'd expect a 30% move down, which is kind of what we got at this zone here, which is why I bought it. But if we break down from here, yeah, we'll get nasty, and it'll go down into these zones. I'm not going to fill anybody with false hope on this one. It's very, very risky, but I have looked at this on the long-term time frame, and I have to treat it in the same way, which is that this is how it behaves. It goes down for a very long period of time. It did it before. It goes down for 3 years, and then had some little bumps in the road moving up. Had a big fake out, which is what this one was. Is how it happened before. When people started to see that the consolidation was over, people get excited, throw money into it, fake out, massive big move back up, massive crash back down, because, like I say, people get excited, people go crazy on it. That's what happened here. And then it has to recover from that. But eventually what will happen, in my opinion, around May, is that it will finish this, whatever it's doing now, and it will start to pick up again, with or without this legal situation being resolved. So I don't have too much of a problem with it, but I'm not going to say to you right now that this is going to go bullish or anything like that. I really don't think that that's the case. I don't think it's going to go bullish. Not yet. Not until late spring, summer, but certainly by the end of this year, I still think it will reach its all-time high and then some, which is a bold claim that I take a lot of stick for. Hang on a minute. This is there's people on my Patreon seem to struggle to get the link for this YouTube. Is that ever? How have you all managed to get the link to this live stream? Because some people seem to struggle with it. I'm just going to send this link to somebody. They said he didn't get it. Sorry, guys. It's always better if you can watch me on YouTube, so I can see the comments on YouTube. But I appreciate, there must be some reason why some people aren't able to do that. Right, so I see Robin's actually here, and she is asking me to look at Avi. Right, we'll have a look at Avi then, shall we? So that's XRP done and dusted. Let's have a look at Avi. Well, that's a fair old move, right? So a lot of these alts are working in the same way, aren't they? So this one is bullish more than most of the others that we've seen, because on the dump down, it didn't even dump down straight away to the center of the Bollinger Band. And then where did it dump down to? The center of the Bollinger Band. The rest of the move is bullish, above the cloud across, continuation of the move up. So again, we're all waiting for Bitcoin, to do whatever it wants to do. But this chart alone would suggest that it wants to continue up. No negative cross there, no bearish divergence. Morning flow index has got room to move. I think it looks good still, and that's mad to say, because this is over 100% move already. But I think it looks good, and that's a bit of an overview, a bit of a brief summary on that one, but I like the look of it. So but again, look at everything through the lens of a bearish Bitcoin, because that's what we have at the moment. We've got a bearish Bitcoin. So just I can't stress that enough. If Bitcoin and Ethereum do break down and turn bearish, is there any ideas of how long it would last? Well, it would last as long as it lasts, I'm afraid. That's generally all I can say. Let's have a look at how it's behaved in the past. So it wouldn't be fair to look at how it broke down this time, because this was the end of the market cycle. Bitcoin as a market cycle lasts for 4 years. in completely different way that the XRP market cycle works. It has a 4-year cycle. Bitcoin essentially will go up for 4 years and then down for a whole year, retracing almost everything that it gained. It's done it every time. So this time it broke down, essentially breaking all the way down to 84%. That, in my opinion, will happen again. All right, it's going to happen again. But if you're judging it by the market cycle itself, it's not going to happen until the end of this year, or going into the beginning of next year. But that's definitely time to start. Towards the end of this year, you want to start thinking about your exit plan. So the fairest way to look at this is how it behaved last year. It wasn't last year; it was the year before, when the market cycle began its new bull trend. Right. So this it was different as well. It's very different. The early stage of the bull market, everybody got way too excited when people discovered that the bottom was in, and then when there was a confirmation, we had a confirmation. And if we just look at a little bit closer at it, we have more than just a confirmation. We have our Ichimoku Cloud Cross that we talk about all the time. And so what happened here is we had a big move up, and then we blew off our top, and we consolidated for a really long time. So we'll measure this out, and I'm only going to measure it out to this level here. Not that level, sorry, this level over here. Because it's not fair to put the whole March situation into that. So we essentially found our bottom around this zone, and that took basically 6 months. Yeah, took 6 months. So that was the early stages of a market cycle. The market cycle. Plus, on top of that, it was a really silly move for Bitcoin to do that so early. So we measure it, I suppose, from here. It did 237%, and I know that that's small in comparison to what it's done recently. But 2021 was always going to be the bigger year for Bitcoin, because that's the last phase of the market cycle, the last 12 months of the market cycle. So if we do consolidate, I would expect it to take half the amount of time of that one, just based on the posture of the market cycle that we're in at the moment. So we've got the last stages of it are going to be the most aggressive. But this has been a very aggressive move, and in my opinion, it happened a little bit too early, based on fundamental value and new money entering the market, basically self-advertising. Really, this happened a little bit too early for my liking. I wanted this sort of move and this kind of vibe around Bitcoin to happen much later. So I'm not saying it's broken the market cycle, but it could lead to easily a decent consolidation that could take a period of maybe 3 months, perhaps, maybe even longer. The only way we'll know is upon confirmation of a bottom. So, this is my rough trajectory of how if this consolidation continues and how nasty and deep it could run, and it gives us a rough time frame. So from the top, we're going down here, that's 1 month. If we go down to $20,000, the lowest area of $20,000 would be here. That would be just over a month. The highest area of $20,000 would be over here, which is 2 months. I'm not saying we're going to come to $20,000. I'm just giving you an idea based on what I see as a rough idea of where the consolidation will head if we continue with this pattern. I think it will pick up speed if we get some of these nasty crosses, and we could dump out of here. And that we'll have to. I can't give you really any particular time frame on this one. We can do something. We can do this. Alright, now give you an idea of what it should have looked like, but the prices are so different that it doesn't really match at all. This would have worked if we'd have consolidated earlier, but we haven't. But as far as a time frame is concerned, this leads us up till summertime, and I still don't think that's fair. I think we could cut that in half. So I'd probably say 3 months, but it's a guess, and I don't. It's not right to do things on guesses. We have to do things on confirmation. So it's a very difficult question to answer. How long's a piece of string, really? I would imagine it would take less time for it to happen only because we're in the last phase of the bull market, the last 12 months. Can I have a look at Bell? Yep, I can. Whoa. Right. Let's have a look at this. What the hell happened? What is that? What am I looking at? Right, so let's forget about all that madness and let's just look at recent price action. I don't know what to say. I mean, it's bullish for the minute. It's so difficult to say with a chart that looks like this. I mean, it's bullish, but I don't know what happened with that. I mean, this is madness. This is madness. Right, let's have a look at the lower term time frames. Right, so the 4 hourly looks okay. I mean, we're riding it up slowly and surely. We've got a golden cross back here. How far have we gone since that golden cross? Measure it from there to there. 59%. We could take this further. It could go further. It's so hard to say because it's been pretty choppy since this move. It's been relatively crazy looking. It's very volatile. We've had a golden cross in the past here. It was faked out. Another one here faked out. This one looks stronger than previous ones. So I mean, if you're already in this, it could have a continuation of it. I don't really have any reason to doubt it'd have continuation. Let's go to a 12 hourly. 12 hourly has a golden cross incoming, so as long as we're above, the Bollinger Band here, $1.22, we should be all right. That'd be a horrendous drop if we did come down to that level. But it's showing signs of strength, definitely pushing up. But it's very choppy. But it does look like it's turned a corner and is trying to do a more of a progressive move up this time. As far as price targets concerned, I couldn't really give you, I'm afraid. Sorry about that. But it looks okay for for what it's worth. It's very difficult when a chart began like this. It's almost worth having to just ignore that altogether. Yeah, I mean, the way I'd look at it is that this, we're above all major moving averages on the 4 hourly plus a golden cross, and that all of these are going to be support. So at the moment we're at the top, and I'd expect, coming down to test some of these. If we look at how we behaved on this dump just recently, it was actually very strong. So perhaps it will continue to remain strong. You might get some good moves out of it. It's very difficult to say exactly, but it does look like the possibility of some stronger moves to come out of here. Right, I'm just going to do a few more of these. Right. You're passing over some questions. Oh, I'm sorry, mate, if I am. I'm dyslexic, you see, so I'm trying to go through things. Nebel USD. Nebel USDT doesn't have one of those here. I'll have to have a look at it on here. Oh right, okay. Oh, right. It's a difficult one again because it's got this crazy wick on it. We've got a buy signal back down here, plus we're above the centre of the Bollinger Band. We've got a sell signal here, so the last signal to play out was a sell. But the money coming into it is quite a lot. I imagine the volume to be quite low on this because of the way that it looks. It's definitely started an uptrend though. and so I would try and treat it as an uptrend. This measured from the buy to the top. What was that? 200% basically, 184%. Now, because we came back down on there and we've supported on the Bollinger Band plus or above the 200 exponential, I'd imagine this to have a continuation from here, despite having this sell signal here. But when it comes to finding an entry point, the entry point would have been here, and if we were to come back down again, this would be the time to buy it. If we did come back down any further, we'd be looking at this zone here, around about 52, probably going to go up a little bit more by then. So these zones here between the areas of 75 and 52, which are pretty significant drops. The chart itself is, I mean, I don't really know what to say. I mean, these sort of things are what you would normally stay away from. So it's something that's been flatlined for so long. I don't know why it started to move again. I can't say why that started to move. But you know, sometimes tokens like this, they do start to make big moves. But overall, you have to agree with me that when you have a coin that started all the way up here, I suppose that was bad timing for it to go onto the market anyway, but hasn't moved in pretty much in any way other than to make lower lows all this time, and then we've had this weird move there. There is a buy signal that's the stronger one, stronger than this sell signal, but you know, it just looks like a bit of a dead asset. You might get some good moves out of it, but technically, you know, the bulls still have it. You know, the bull is in the bullish territory still, very much so. But when you play with risk, you know, it does carry risk. This one. What would be the lowest time frame that you would consider a buy signal, given all the indicators are good? So yeah, it's a fair question, especially if you're looking to catch a decent leveraged trade. So I would go to the 15-minute chart really. If the longer term time frames look good and you're looking for a perfect entry point, I'd just use the 15-minute chart. So for an example, let's have a look at Bitcoin. The 15-minute chart is like a staple for me for margin trading, because it's I'll just get rid of this thing here. So look, on this 15-minute chart, right, we're bullish, right? We're bullish because we treat it just the same as any other chart. We treat it, every aspect of it can be treated just like any other chart, whether it's daily or weekly or 4 hourly. The only difference is that the moves are going to be less, right? So when we're looking at dailies, we're looking at potentially you know, hundreds of % moves. When we're looking at 15 minutes, we could be talking 5 to 10 max play out. And again, that transpires to the higher the time frame. The higher the time frame, the bigger the move. The bigger the signal, the bigger the move. The signals are the same. The moves are going to be less because they change around quicker. So all time frames are relevant, but when they start to gain strength is when the 15-minute, for me, the 15-minute will do it. But you could also, you know, you go to a 5-minute. Binance has changed. Where's the 5 minutes? The 5-minute would work the same. So the 5-minute will have exactly the same relevance as all the others. Why, that's so annoying. What's going on here? Don't want time. Have exactly the same relevance. So what we'll do now is we'll have a look at, first of all, we'll look at the 15-minute. Okay, so what did the 15 minutes say? When would have been a buy signal for a margin trade, for instance? Well, let's have a look. So you don't want to catch knives. That's not what you want to do, unless you've got buy zones, all right? But you don't generally want to catch knives. But what you want to do is you want to trade signals. So when did we get a signal? We came above the cloud over here, we had a negative cross, we had a positive cross here, all right, above the cloud, and then we would have measured that with the Chico span, which I imagine would probably be okay. We'll just pretend that it's okay. So now what we look at here is, right, are the odds in our favor? Are we above the Bollinger Band? We are. We've got a positive cross on the Ichimoku cloud. We're above the Bollinger Band here, which is also above the green 50 exponential. So the odds are in our favor at this point here. So this would have been perhaps maybe an opportunity to go long. So that would have worked out in the short term, and then we came back down to test this zone, which I would call squeaky bum time. We're testing that zone. But overall, if you were to trust the indicator itself, it would still be playing out a decent move right now. And again, that's like I say, you've got to trust these indicators. If you know how to use them and you place your trust in them, you have to resign yourself to the fact that they are going to work. But this is why you need to practice these things. So at the moment, that would have played out, what would appear this price right now, 6.5% move from that price signal. That signal has worked just the same as it would have worked on an hourly or 4 hourly, a daily or a weekly, but the move itself is smaller, so it's a 5 or 6.5% move, rather than if this was on a daily, we'd be talking about 100 or 200% move. So they're all relevant. So let's have a look at the 5 minute, because the 5 minute again is relevant. Everything works the same. So now what we're looking at here is a potential change in the trend. We have a negative cross here on the 5 minute Ichimoku cloud, and we're beneath the center of the Bollinger Band. So perhaps we are now looking at a change in trend. It's less relevant now. So if we look at this in terms of time frame equals lower percentage, this doesn't dismiss what the 15 minute says. The 15 minute says that we're still likely to go up. We don't have a sell signal, but what the 5 minute says is if you're looking to trade the 5 minute charts, that there would have been an exit point take place here, which also corresponds to here. So when was the entry point? Here. The entry point was here, above the belt and Bollinger Band, Ichimoku cloud cross. Everything's okay, and we'll measure that one out there. We would be looking at a move to even where we are at right now, but pretty much we would have got out around here where we had that cross. There would have been a 3% move, so you're kind of halving it. So they're all relevant, they all work, but they just work in a lot less of gains, that's all. So they're relevant for people who want to do margin trading, definitely, because you use leverage to compensate for the fact that you're going to get less of a move. But the signals are relevant still. I hope that's useful. Right, so what's the company? They're called Pionex. They're an exchange, but they're heavily integrated with bot trading. But I have to say, their interface is non-existent. It's okay for me, I suppose, because I know what I'm doing with bot trading. But if I've never done bot trading before, I'd be completely lost. In there. It's not in any way user friendly. That's what I've said to them already. I said this is. You're asking retail customers here to basically work blindly with these bots. There's no user, there's no interface. Do you know what I mean? It's pretty rubbish, in all fairness, when it comes to the interface. But the bots work basically just the same, but you can't see what they're doing. You just have to trust what you've set up is okay. It's not like Bitsgap where you see what's going on. It's easy to work out what's happening. You can see the buys and sells. You can see your grids. It's very, very nice and easy to use. This thing is not that. It's not like that at all. It's like driving with one eye open and one hand behind your back. So yeah, I'm not advising it at all. I think one a day is good, 2 a day. I'm missing loads of comments here. I'm really sorry. I don't think I'm going to get through all of these. Mine has been sat between 2 and 5%. So yeah, that's good. That's good bot profit. Have to be signed into YouTube. Yeah, you will need to be signed into YouTube if you want to comment. Yeah. Got the link from Patreon. Always works for me. That's nice to know. Looking forward to your own. Oh yeah, yeah. Get my own cryptocurrency. Hopefully. But that's not because I'm looking to rip anybody off. That would be for you guys as Patreon members. So it's like a loyalty token. So I won't be selling them at any point. I will not sell them. All right, I'm not going to be making any money out of them. I promise you that. That's not my intention. My intention is to create these as almost like a novelty item, right? Because anyone can create a cryptocurrency these days. So that's the intention. I'm going to create them. I'll hand them out to subscribers on a quarterly basis as like a loyalty token. So we're in the middle of making this token at the moment. So I think I'm not sure if we're going to go for 5 or 10 million of them, and then I'm going to try and work out how, because it'll be it'll be a capped amount. It won't be there'll only be that amount. So I'm going to have to work out how many I'm going to be able to give out to everybody on a quarterly basis. But I imagine 1,000 or a couple of thousand. And obviously the higher tier people will get a substantial amount more than that. But I don't want them to run out. But I imagine if I handed out a few thousand every quarter to every one of you guys, that's all I intend to do with it. It's like a novelty. It'll be based on from what we're looking at now on the Polkadot blockchain, and you'll just be getting these into your hard wallet or wherever it is. So yeah, my own currency. But at the moment we don't have a name, don't have a symbol, don't have a ticker, just the basic setup of minting some crypto. It was very helpful. It's very helpful, your stream. Will you make in the future a video guide to read entry and exit signals from usual indicators? A second video like your previous one. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, so the Ichimoku cloud for me is very useful, and that's why I made that. But I suppose it's only really relevant when playing that from the beginning of the trend to the end. So I get what you mean. So I think about other ways that I would find the end of a trend. Hopefully I'll get around to making that this weekend. I'm having a party tomorrow for my daughter, so but hopefully by Sunday I'll make that one. I'll make that video. Nice, thanks for the explanation of the signals, very useful. Have I looked at 3 commas? Yeah, I did. Yeah, that was one of the first ones I looked at. But I chose Bitsgap over that, mostly based on its interface, to be honest. I just thought the whole thing was very simple, easy. I just, when something just is better, it's just better in general. 3 commas is big, it's bigger, but it's not necessarily better. So that's why I went with them. And I thought the pricing was pretty reasonable for what it does, what you get back from it. Are we invited? To my daughter's party? I'm afraid not with the lockdown at the moment. No, I've got a bubble with another family for my kids. My older daughter, she's 3. She's got a bubble that you're allowed to hang out with another family as long as they're in your bubble. So we exclusively hang out with that family because they've got a 3-year-old and basically almost a 1-year-old. So they're coming around. We're going to be doing Pass the Parcel and all those other things. I don't think you would really enjoy it, to be honest with you, even if you were invited. But yeah, there's rules against that anyway. So even if you were invited, there'd be a hefty fine involved if my neighbours grassed you up. Anyway, it's time is ticking by. It's almost been 2 hours, so I hope that's okay for you. I'm sorry if I skipped some questions, because I suppose my dyslexia and stuff like that, but I'm not going to blame that. I hope I got around to answering the majority of your questions. Thanks for coming and watching on a Friday night. I appreciate it. Thanks for being members of the old Patreon. And like I say, over the next few months when my cryptocurrency gets minted, you will all be rewarded in the form of a useless cryptocurrency token. But like I say, who knows where it'll end up. You would be able to swap it on Uniswap and things like that. I'm sure over time it'll find a value. Hopefully it'll be more valuable than CNS, but who knows? Who knows where it will? There's a very strong chance it will have absolutely no value whatsoever. But it's just a novelty. We'll see where it goes. But thanks for watching anyway, and we'll see you all on Wednesday. Take it easy. Thanks for watching.